Well, so one manager's gone, another one's come in. This is the new shirt for the new season, by the way. Could just look even more sad on camera. Well, Allardyce is gone and Moyes has replaced him. So obviously I'm outside Rotherham at the minute. This by the time this video is up on YouTube, you'll know the results, which I'm not too bothered about because it's about pre-season. The fact that Moyes has been appointed has made me day already. But anyway, I'll quickly talk about Allardyce first. Content, I am a little bit upset with him that he's left, but at the same time, you know, the England job was one that he's wanted for absolutely ages, probably decades and decades in his managerial career. He's wanted to manage England, so I can't exactly blame him for wanting to go and take the England job. That's an opportunity he's probably not going to get after this. So, what I will say is to Sam Allardyce, if there's a 0.0000001 chance you're watching this video, thank you very much for everything you did at Sunderland, mainly making it 6 in a row and keeping us up and sending them down. But no, thanks very much for everything that you did. Thanks for the 3Ks. Technically I should say 4Ks, but you didn't bring in Kabul, unfortunately. Either way, thank you for that lot, and thank you for giving us hope for the future, and well done for England. So, you deserve a shot at the national side. Good luck with it. There we have it. And now, obviously, for the big one, that Moyes has been appointed. For those of you who don't know, and I'll put a link to it in the description, I do write for Local Report. And I think it was a Make Your Case article this week, which is basically, there's an argument in Make Your Case where one person's for one thing and one's against. So for example, I was against someone called Callum, and we were arguing, would we rather have David Moyes or Sean Dyche? I was for David Moyes, he was rather for Sean Dyche. And there were some people who I was surprised that were quite sceptical at first about Moyes coming into the job, given how he did at Manchester United and at Real Sociedad. But there was a couple of points, but obviously you look at the decade that he had at Everton, which was absolutely sensational, for them anyway, from where they were. I think they were probably something like bottom half of the table to relegation scrappers or contenders, to when he took over, and look where he's left them. You know, they've got the expectation of being in Europe, and they've got a good squad because of it. But I think with when Moyes was at Sociedad, I'll just quickly go through the other things. One thing I mentioned in the Local Report article was that Real Sociedad's a much harder thing for you to do anyway, because it's a different language and a different league, a different culture in a different country. Gary Neville I think will make a good manager, and even he found it a difficult struggle at Valencia, even though that was his first job. But David Moyes would have always found that hard, and I think it was probably a knock-on thing from when he was at Manchester United as well. And leading on to Manchester United, the expectations there would have been ridiculously sky high. Think about it, he's just replaced Alex Ferguson, when Ferguson left, he knew that team was not going to be good enough to win another league title for quite some time without considerable major surgery to it. And as well, when Moyes came in, the players, unlike Moyes, had actually won silverware, or at least challenged for it, a lot more than what Moyes had throughout his CV. So if you've won trophies, imagine someone comes in who hasn't done diddly squat on their CV as far as silverware goes, and they're telling you what to do. You know, you're not going to be as motivated, are you? I still think it was a bit unfair that Man United employed Moyes on a 6-year deal and then sacked him. But I will admit the job was probably a bit too big for him. Now the Sunderland job, on the other hand, probably won't be. Now this is the thing I was leading up to. When Moyes was at, people accused Moyes' teams of rolling over when he was at Man United. Far from the case at Everton. You know, he was there for a decade for a start, which means that he was doing something right there. But also, teams hated going there. Man City and Tottenham had poor records there. Sunderland, from fans, we should know from experience, we used to get dicked in the backside, pardon me language there, at Goodison Park. You know, they used to play, and as well, I think Everton actually played some good football under Moyes as well. You know, compared to what they've seen under Martinez the last season, you know, Moyes, I think, was a breath of fresh air at that point. So, I think it's a good appointment. I'm not getting carried away because it might still not work out. But we've employed him on a 4-year deal. And another thing as well is that Ellis Short wanted him the last 5 times that he was changing managers at Sunderland. So that says something in itself if Moyes was sought after that many times and eventually we've persuaded him to join. And I wonder how Ellis Short's feeling about this, that he's got £3 million compensation for Allardyce and then gets Ellis Short on a free. He must be rubbing his hands together at the prospect of it. One thing, Ellis, if you're watching this, please invest that in the squad. I don't want any of this trying to cut corners or trying to do things on the cheap again. We proved in January with Kirchhoff and Coney you can do things on the cheap, but I'm absolutely fed up of us trying to always cut corners and do things as cheap as possible, because that's almost relegated us the last couple of seasons. We've got to go out there and add some additional players to the squad. So you look at, I'd say about 2 or 3 first-team quality players, one that will slot straight into that first team and actually improve it, the same way that Coney, Kazri and Kirchhoff did. You know, and I think the team we've got now is not a bad side. I think the team we've got now is one that if you add a couple of really good quality players into it, I don't see why we can't finish in the top 10. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen, obviously. All I want from this season, which I've said probably a million times before, is just to not be in a relegation fight and just be comfortably mid-table, just be comfortably clear of the bottom 3 all season. So, yeah. Moyes was the only one really out of the candidates anyway that was available who I really wanted. A few of my mates were saying Manuel Pellegrini, but to be honest, I think at Man City he was tactically quite questionable in big games, and also in the transfer market I thought he performed pretty poorly. De Bruyne is the only one I can think of at the top of my head that he signed at Man City who has gone on to be a relative success. The rest of them have underperformed. So, you know, and Sean Dyche, I don't think Sean Dyche would have been a bad appointment personally. I think the way that he had Burnley playing with the Championship team in the Premier League, they were competing. And people who say, oh, he might not have been good with money. Well, he spent $9 million on Andre Gray and Burnley won the league and Andre Gray was like top scorer or near the top scorers in the Championship. That's hypothetical though, so thank God. And Steve Bruce or Steve McLaren, don't even go there. So, you know, thankfully we've got David Moyes. Oh God, so he's obviously in the stands for Rotherham, but by the time this is uploaded, you'll know what the result is. I'm not bothered now. Moyes just coming in's just made me day. Because I think this is the chance we might have if Allardyce had stayed. Otherwise, with Allardyce, that we can actually shoot up the league. But there's going to be a lot of work to be done. That has to be remembered. So, anyway, guys, thank you for watching the video. Like, comment, subscribe. The stuff that every other YouTuber practically asks you to do. And I'll see you all later.